how far does this win go in shaping possibly his future with Texas?
A long way if he can back it up. I mean, and I think that's something that goes with Florida State. I think it's something that goes no matter who you're going to mention as far as a big win, including Alabama. But those kids have been hit over the head since Sunday morning by Nick Saban about, okay, you were 1-0 last week. Can you be 1-0 this week? And just forget about everything else. Can they do that? Because remember, this is a program at Texas that has not had much success. So their first instinct is going to be to sort of lean back and drink it all in and sort of enjoy the pats on the back and everything else. But, that isn't where he's trying to get that program to.
When you look at how they got it done, too, in Texas, it was with the dual quarterback situation. Shane Buechel, who was a freshman, and Tyrone Swoops, who came in and scored the winning touchdown, but also had a lot of carries, 13 carries for 53 yards and 3 touchdowns. He deployed that dual quarterback scheme, I think, perfectly. On the other side of the game, I think Brian Kelly did not. How hard is that for a system to work with 2 quarterbacks, especially if they're different?
Well, if they're as stark as, and I think the great analogy was made after the game to sort of like Tebow and Leak at Florida, where one threw dramatically better than the other, and the other one was just sort of a runner at that point, and threw a jump pass and stuff like that. Swoops obviously is a big, gigantic physical presence. Doesn't necessarily throw the ball that great, but and Buechel, the kid. He does, he does everything he's asked to do. He even runs the ball fairly decent. When you're blessed with the contrast like that, I think it's an advantage. When you're kind of cursed between your sort of the horns of a dilemma, not unlike, I'll bring up Alabama again. Remember, Hurts was the third quarterback. And, Nick Saban let the 2 older guys see what they could do, and neither one of them could do much. And he said, might as well give the kid a shot. Mm-hmm. And the kid shown. So, it's too bad on the Notre Dame side because we've seen both those guys be successful. But it goes back to what kind of team I think that Brian Kelly wants the Irish to be.
We're talking to Randy Cross, CBS Sports college football analyst, and Randy's with us here on Tiki and Tierney here on CBS Sports Radio. Now, Randy, it's easy to kind of look at some of these big programs putting up a lot of crooked numbers against inferior competition and just kind of dismiss it for what it is, whether it's Michigan hanging 63 or Louisville getting 70. Baylor was pretty good in the mid-50s. Same with the Buckeyes, 77. Is there a team that really just laid the wood to somebody as expected, but maybe beneath that they're a little bit more impressive than we might take away at first glance? Did any of those games jump out to you?
Not the lopsided ones. I think that sort of came to be expected. I believe with as many really good games as we had the first week, and there were an amazing amount of games that were so compelling. We had overtime games, we had comeback games, we had everything you could possibly want to get people excited. I think the one game that stood out that just didn't get the attention it deserved is what Lamar Jackson did at Louisville with 8 touchdowns, all those yards passing, all those yards rushing, over 100 yards rushing, and 6 touchdowns passing, and he all did it in the first half. It's been done in a game, but it has never been done in the first half. I think Louisville's got a chance to be something special under Petrino. They're going to have an amazing amount of offense, and they're already in a Big Five conference in the ACC. So in a lot of ways, they're a little bit like Houston is. But to me, that really opened a lot of people's eyes what Louisville did.
Yeah, you talk about Houston. How surprised were you with what Tom Herman did down there in week 1? It was an upset over the number 3 team in the country. And we knew that they were good last year, but I don't think anyone expected them to make the jump like this and put themselves front and center in the conversation about really good college football teams in 2016.
Yeah, I'll kind of pat myself on the back. Aaron Taylor and I both picked them as our upsets last Tuesday night to win that game. I know I did because based on Greg Ward Jr. and based on the excellent coaching they've had there on the defensive side, they led the FBS, the Big Five in turnovers last year. And they just kind of picked it right up where they left off and played that kind of defense again. And to go with an offense like that, it's a combination. I think Houston's as good as some of us thought they were. And again, Oklahoma is just a little bit overrated maybe.
Does this maybe recalibrate in the minds of some of these big programs? I know that this Houston game was on Oklahoma's schedule for a couple of years now, as most games out of conference are, just given the logistics of travel and schedules. But does this maybe force teams to reevaluate, how they open up the season? Because let's face it, I know that the Big 12 is unique in the sense without a title game. This probably it for the Sooners. So how does this change the way teams approach Week 1?
Well, even it's not a conference game, so they've got a chance to go unblemished from here and be, and win the Big 12. They're going to play everybody in the Big 12. So their fate isn't completely sealed, but I think it's one of the beauties of what we've been sort of forced to. And what we're really going to see moving forward is, no more of those homecoming games, which is fine with me. And there's nothing against schools, like the Charlottes that got drilled and like, Mercer's playing at Georgia Tech this week. And,
yeah.
Those are the kind of games that, I'm sorry, just shouldn't exist.
Nope.
If you're a Big 5 conference team, you should play other Big 5 teams if indeed, your goal is to get into that playoff and keep your schedule legitimate. And I think that's something you're going to see more of as we go down the line.
That's Randy Cross, and he's with us here on Tiki and Tierney. Randy's a CBS Sports college football analyst, a Super Bowl champ, and a proud Bruin as well, which I'm sure leads Tiki to this.
Yes, unfortunately. Your guy, Josh Rosen, who's been positioned as the best quarterback in college football right now. Maybe it's a little bit hyperbole, but horrible first half. Even he acknowledged it. Where do they go? I mean, big loss to Texas A&M. After being ranked 16 in the country. Did you expect this? And two, what happens next?
I think the kids watch too many Brett Favre tapes, highlight packages. There's no telling what goes through his mind when he gets pressured and when he moves, but not much of it's good. And he's almost, just 1 week in, he's almost earned. He's not quite earned, but he's almost earned my tag of an evangelist quarterback.
Oh.
Those guys are going to make 70,000 people stand up and scream Jesus.
Yeah.
Because I know he had that effect on a lot of Bruins fans on Saturdays, especially with that little shovel pass thing and some of that stuff down the field. That's got to be trained out of him. I don't care who's coaching him. I don't care how much they may like him or his parents or his family or his potential. You owe it to the guys that you play with to take care of the ball. And if you can't do that, and if you can't be trusted with the ball, that's got to affect your ability to be a leader.
Is he going to show us some Manziel characteristics? And I don't mean the good ones. I mean, are you worried about him? Where's his maturity level right now?
Yeah, because Jim Moore brought that up.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got that. We saw earlier, where he was tweeting stuff about politics and whatnot. And, that's who knows? I hope now school's going to be getting going here pretty quick for UCLA now that Labor Day's gone. And he'll get a chance to sort of be a student and keep his proverbial stuff together, because I think that's something that's going to be a challenge, is doing both, and it always is for young players. But I don't think so, and I hope Jim Moore gets a handle on this, because it's something that can get it can get a little bit out of control. But Johnny Manziel, there was much more to him and much more problems than just somebody that maybe was crying out for attention.
Randy, good chatting with you, man. Always nice helping us set the scene, or at least recap the opening scene for college football. Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, no problem. Hey, by the way, that Texas win, that thing is tainted.
Why?
Because they didn't call that targeting foul.
Oh, yes.
In
the
end zone.
You're right.
It was complete BS.
On Torrey,
the Big 12 should be embarrassed.
Yeah, on Torrey Hunter Jr.'s. On Torrey Hunter's son.
His son,
he got drilled too. I agree with you.
They never blocked that field goal. And
by the way, that's the rule. The rule now is that refs don't have to call it. they can a video official can upstairs can call it if the refs miss it.
Hey, Randy,
and
how
they
about,
missed that one.
How about next time you have a hot opinion, why don't you just text it to us after you hang up the phone? I mean, how about bringing it up a little earlier in the conversation there, big guy?
Okay. Well, go ahead. All right.
No, it is a good point.
By the way, thank you, pal. I'm just kidding, man.
Have a
We'll
good
see you
one,
soon.
guys.
Thanks, Randy. Randy Cross, there he is.